Hey there, everybody. So this morning I got a crazy email from lesswrong. Now, for those who don't know, I follow lesswrong because lesswrong is kind of like it's like a combination of a forum and like a weird like amalgamation of like weird, like tech hipster shit, like conferences and meetings and all that weird shit. And it's all like vague ethics crap. About, if you may have heard of the term AI safety, that's where, I wouldn't say all of it comes from, but a lot of it comes from Less Wrong. And we'll be reading this email today, so we'll understand better what Less Wrong is for people who are not familiar. And you might be asking, like, why are you interested in this stuff? Well, it's because, when you're into Félix Guattari, you have to deal with accelerationism. And when you have to deal with accelerationism, you have to deal with all the other stuff that is discussed in those circles, which eventually leads you to these annoying vegans. And, basically what you might know these, like, AI people as being, like, overly pretentious with their morals. Yeah, effective altruism is this, like, idea that they, like, essentially promote where they believe that if they build a computer, not literally like a computer, but if they build, like, a means of calculating the best ways of distributing capital across charity, then they can, like, basically design a better world, right? And there's a lot of controversy surrounding this idea, especially surrounding people who are impacted by these charities, because the big reason is because this really puts a bunch of power in these people's hands. Like, they're asking you to give them money so that you can trust them to distribute it. And that means that incorporates all their biases and what they think is important. And we already saw with the complexities of COVID politics and COVID vaccine politics, especially internationally, and how vaccines were distributed and things like that. We saw what can happen and the consequences of what happens when we have people in power who are, making major choices about things like health and quality of life and things like that. And there's way too much to get into to really explain to newcomers, like, why I don't like Less Wrong, and why, Less Wrong is the source of all of this, is one of the sources and discourses pots of, like, this AI safety bullshit discourse that literally people like Hank Green apparently think is just real because a company sponsored him and told him so, according to how I at least understood Internet of Bugs' video on that. So if you haven't seen that, you should see that. That's a crazy video. Sorry for dropping that. But yeah. All right. So let's talk about this email, because there's some hilarious, crazy shit in here. So, first off, Lightcone infrastructure. Alright, I'm 2 words in, and I already want to explain what's fucked up about this, okay? So you might be asking, what the hell is a light cone, okay? So a light cone is this, right? This diagram here. So basically, this is you in the center, right? You're in the center, this is you right now, right? And light travels at a limited speed. It doesn't go at infinite speed, it goes at c, the speed of light, right? That is a finite speed, right? Now, the thing is that because of that, there's a limit to how fast light can actually travel across space, right? So the idea of a light cone is that you can have photons from the past, from all of these different space, right, coming in towards you, right? And as it gets closer in time, there's less area of possibilities that those photons can come from because they can't travel enough space in that time, right? And then they reach you, right? But what we're interested in here is the future light cone, because if we have a photon that was emitted here and it's traveling in all directions, right, it will form a cone, right, because it's going in all directions in 3D space, right? And as it expands forward, as it has more time to travel, right, it has more and more possibilities. So basically this is representing a physical limitation on the kind of possibilities that are accessible from our subjectivity as people who experience the laws of physics, right? So what does that mean? That means that basically this is the hard limit of what is possible. Now, let's take that in mind. So that basically you have Lightcone, which is a representation of everything that is possible. Now let's think about infrastructure. How that contrasts. Infrastructure implies structure. It implies the creation of institutions. It implies the creation of a machine. These people are trying to structure the future, and they're making it very explicitly clear by the way that they name their company. It's like so painfully obvious. Like, these people have literally no subtlety to, and it like if you know their stupid nerd shit, it's literally like when Brooks named his thing Rhizome Productions. I'm sorry, Brooks, but I'm sorry for throwing shade at you about this, but like come on, at least like maybe like, you know what I mean? It's like, as soon as you know what it is, it's like, oh, come on, really? Okay, but this is way worse than Rhizome Productions. Let me make this clear. This is like Evil Corp naming their company Evil Corp, you know? So, yeah, okay, let's continue. So let's start from the beginning, because that was already crazy. Okay. Lightcone infrastructure, which runs lesswrong and Lighthaven and many other things, is fundraising. We have a total fundraising shortfall of $2 million for 2026 and have raised $700K so far. We are a U.S. nonprofit that relies on donations from individuals like you to exist. Donate here, reply to this email, or message me on Signal. What the fuck? He put his Signal number on this? Like, okay, when I first was sharing this, because it was fucking hilarious, right? I was actually genuinely shocked that they shared his Signal. I had to literally redact the post because I was like, oh shit, that's his fucking phone number. Holy crap. So, yeah. And I'll be honest with you, like, this is not like a private thing that you have to sign up for to see. You literally just have to have an account on this website to get this email. He literally just sent it to everybody, and he even says, like, right here, we only send this email like once a year, and you can permanently unsubscribe from all Less Wrong emails here. So, like, he's just sending it to everyone who has an email account. So this is public. It's crazy to put your Signal account on public like that. I'm sorry, dude. Just FYI. I know that you AI guys don't really understand OPSEC very well, but that's bad OPSEC, okay? Just really bad OPSEC, okay? Just FYI, don't do that. You might want to change your number. Just FYI. Anyways, let's continue. I've been running Less Wrong for 8 years now. Lots of stuff has happened in this period, most of which I won't go into in this email. My fundraiser post from last year covers that. And very short summary, Less Wrong One was founded by Eliezer Yudowski, which, by the way, you should... I don't know a ton about this guy, but I do know that he is part of those weird fascist reactionary transhumanist weirdos. He has like some sort of like, his is some kind of like, his is like something to do with like machine learning, and it's like a little bit outside of my wheelhouse, so I haven't really looked too deeply into it. Let's see. Yeah, AI researcher, decision theory, and ethics. Ethics is something more I feel like I could talk about, but like I'd have to research his technical side a bit more. So yeah, he's a red flag. That's all you gotta know, right? He's a red flag. In 2010. It died in 2016 from spammers, outdated software, and lack of moderation. I found a team to revive it. We succeeded, and now it's more active than ever. After COVID, we expanded our operations with funding from Open Philosophy, the Survival and Flourishing Fund, and the ill-fated FTX Foundation. We built Lighthaven, a successful conference and research center in Berkeley, making $3 million revenue per year in revenue. However, in 2022, FTX's ill fate came to pass. In 2024, FTX sued us to claw back their donations. And around the same time, Open Philanthropy's biggest donor asked them to exit our funding area. We almost went bankrupt. Okay, I want to make this very clear to any fucking ethicists in the audience right now. I want to understand, like, what is you owe that money back to those people. Like, yes, of course it's not your fault that FTX stole that money, but you still owe it back to them because they funded you. That's ultimately sourced at the victim's money. I don't really think that it's exactly a very good ethical look to be bitching about the fact that you almost went bankrupt because you got funded by other effective altruists who weren't very good at effective altruism. You know, like, I find it very interesting that, you know, a lot of people claim that Sam Bankman-Fried wasn't, and his organizations were not effective altruists when they literally fucking were funding you and you were getting sued out the ass because you owed those people money. You know, I just think that's really interesting. You know, I think that's a really unethical thing to complain about, you know? Maybe you should just be like, yeah, we had to pay those people back because that's the ethical thing to do, because we believe in altruism. We believe in doing the thing that produces the most amount of good in the world. Don't you think that paying those people back at least a little bit, at least for your chunk of the donation, is your responsibility? Even if you have to pay it with donations. I mean, we all know what kind of people are fucking, you know, spamming your stupid forums and stuff. We all know what kind of people who are running around here and talking about it, right? You guys make money. You guys can fundraise, you know, paying those people back. Okay? I just want to make that very clear. I don't want to ever hear you guys ever lecture anybody about ethics ever again. Now you might be all like, well, you're into Guattari and Deleuze, aren't they? Like, you know, they don't believe in like a full ethical computational computer or whatever. That means you can just believe in willy-nilly. No, it doesn't. I mean, in order for me to become who I am, or to continue becoming who I am, right? You know, I have to follow an ethics that makes sense for me, and following my ethics and my understanding of ethics and analyzing it and acting on it is part of my own becoming, and that in of itself is just a reality of, you know, existing as a subjective person. You know, my perspective is what produces, you know, truth to some extent, right? And as a result of that, you know, and it's not just everything. It's not like I get to decide, right? But I get to this, you know, there's something internal to me that is organizing the true and false values, right? And as a result, I can make the decision to say, hey, you know, I just don't think it's very ethical to, you know, act like you guys are the king of ethics because you read Peter Singer's Animal Liberation, and you think you're hot shit because you just discovered that animals are tortured all the fucking time under capitalism. Interesting that you don't want to do anything about that part. But you seem to think it's okay that because you guys are doing so much fucking good for the world, which you haven't been able to even prove anything, right, other than being super annoying and full of propaganda and loading people's brains with bullshit, right? You are complaining about having to pay people back who got their money stolen. I'm sorry that you're on the receiving end of that, but, you know, if somebody has to go, if the person who buys a stolen vehicle has to return it, I think you have to return your fucking money too, because it's not your money. Alright, so stop complaining. Alright? Now, what we did last time, we brought up with 2025. At a high level, we grew less wrong faster than basically any previous year, which I think is also improving on content and discussion quality. We filled Lighthaven with lots of events and close to financially breaking even on our part in operations. They're still not making money. Oh my god. We're almost breaking even. We're almost breaking even, guys. and worked on a bunch of communication projects, like including AI 2027. Now, I'll look into this later. I don't want to look into this right now, but this is something I think we should have on our radars. We'll take a look at it later. There is lots more to be said about each of those projects, and lots more things we've done. If you want to learn more, I've written a 13,000 word retrospective over on Less Wrong, because you can never have enough fucking words. God, why does everybody want to write a book just to say something? Oh my god, he put the signal on it again on the bottom, so now I'm gonna have to cover the bottom in the video editor. I'll figure it out when it come to it, but I'm kind of pissed off. Why does this guy have to, like, literally publicly post his phone number and present a risk to everyone involved? That's horrible. Anyways, now, while we need to fundraise less this year than last year to survive, we are still reliant on this fundraising going well. We need to raise $2 million this year to continue our operations without major cuts, and at least $1.4 million to avoid shutting down. We have so far raised 720,000, right? Please, if you have benefited from Less Wrong or Lighthaven, he's asking for money. I do have big plans on what we could do if we fundraise more than we need to just keep the lights on. I am most torn between investing into public communications work similar to AI 2027 and making a big push into figuring out how Less Wrong should adapt to an LLM-driven world. You can read more about that in some... I do think humanity's future would be in a non-trivially worse position if we had shut down. Go fuck yourself. You're literally bitching about not paying people back who got stolen their money from Sam Bankman-Fried. Stuff it up your ass.